What's up, guys? So I want to talk a little bit about knife inconsistencies. I want to give you an update on this QSP Parrot, this little pink knife. You guys remember this one? So let's start with this knife. This had some blade play. It's really unfortunate. I mean, you can hear it. It's pretty prevalent. I could feel it. I could feel it when I'm cutting things. I did a lot of cardboard cut tests at home with this knife. And it's just really unfortunate because I liked a lot about it. It's got 440C, which is kind of whatever. But it's full flat ground. I like the blade profile, simple handle, it's comfortable. And it was affordable at $21. It was also available in a couple colors. They had a green one, and obviously you can see a black one here. So when I did that video, soon after it, I got two more of them, all right? So I wanted to see if it was consistently a problem with blade play. When I first got it, it was barely there. It wasn't even noticeable at all, but after using it, blade play. So what I assumed happened was that the use on the knife just kind of weakened the liner lock, all right? Whether it was a fitment issue or whether it was just a soft liner, whatever the thing was that caused that, it was a problem, and I wanted to see if it was consistent. So I got another one. I use this one. I feel just as much as I use this one, but there's no way of really knowing just because I do a lot of the testing around the house and stuff. I don't document how many slices I took or anything like that. It's not very scientific. I just use it. I use it until it goes dull. And this one performed the same as this, only no blade play. Nothing. Locks up like a bank vault. All right, so that's the actual used one. This one's brand new out of the box. Also another black one. And this one has no blade play. So, what's my point? My point is it is an inconsistent knife. Now, there's a couple things that could have happened here. Maybe this one was a lemon. Maybe this one, when they were doing the grinding through a machine, maybe the thing was dull, didn't cut it right. Who knows? Maybe they changed something. Maybe other people were complaining about this having some play in it, so they did some design change. Who knows? But my point is that it is inconsistent. Now, these are knives that are made over in China, and as we know, the knife industry has changed tremendously over the years. When I first got into knives, a Chinese knife that was less than $100 just meant it was junk, period. That was a blanket statement that was usually true. That has changed quite a bit, as we know. There are a ton of awesome, awesome knives coming out of China, as well as Taiwan and Japan and all over the world, right? So that is something that's definitely changing in the knife industry. But what has not changed, and will never, ever change, regardless of where a knife is made, is when you buy a cheap knife or inexpensive knife, any way you want to put it, because there is a difference between cheap and inexpensive, you're going to have a little inconsistency, okay? Just because they're mass produced, this knife made there, who knows, maybe there's 5,000 of them made, maybe they made 20,000, 50,000, 100,000, who knows? But you have a mass produced, affordable or cheap knife. And because of that, quality control is never ever going to be the same as that $300, knife from X company. It doesn't even matter who it is, all right? So that's the first point I want to make here. The second point was just an update, is that I did get another Parrot and use it, and it's fine. There's nothing wrong with it at all. And the color doesn't make a difference. Don't think that the pink ones stink and the black ones are awesome. That has nothing to do with anything. That just happens to be what scales are on here. I think there's also a green one as well. But yeah, it's just inconsistent. This is something I have experienced personally with other cheaper knives. Again, this is a $21 knife from Amazon. It's not a very expensive knife. The 440C stainless is just okay for the price, Could be better, could be worse, just one of those things. But this video is mainly geared towards people who are newer to the knife scene. Obviously, if you've been around, a couple of years dealing with knives and stuff, you know all this stuff already. But I did want to make a couple points in this video. So you have inconsistency with cheap knives. Generally speaking, this is not, written in stone, but generally speaking, the more you pay for a knife, the more there's a chance it's going to be consistent in that, if there's a little problem, either they all have the problem or they don't. Usually the more you pay for a knife, the less chance there is a problem at all. All right, especially once you get past $100, $200, $300, those companies that are producing, $300 and $400 knives, there's just no problems. There isn't any. And if there was a problem, it is very quickly fixed. But again, once you get into those higher brackets, now you're getting into more hands-on stuff with the knives where people are, you know, hand grinding them and hand putting them together and finishing and all that kind of stuff. When you're talking about mass-produced knives, although this might be happening in a different country where someone's putting them together, they're putting 2,000 a day together, okay, not 6, you know, or 2, or whatever the case may be with very high-end knives. So, yeah, this should be some common sense, but, you know, sometimes it's not. It's not something that's often thought about. If you're buying a knife, for me, personally, I think $50 or less is considered inexpensive. Some people might say, no, $50 knife is expensive. Yes, it is to some people, and to other people, a $100 knife is a cheap knife. It just depends on who you are and what kind of money you have. But that's kind of where I stand on it, is $50 or less. There's a probability for some kind of inconsistency, whether it's, you know, how it locks up, or it could be grinds on there where one's super sharp, another one's not so sharp out of the box. Generally speaking, if you're buying cheap knives, you're going to have to roll the dice and just get lucky sometimes. It's not always the case, but it seems to be pretty consistent. So that's the, you know, one major point I want to make with this video. Another one is when you're watching people's videos on knives, knife reviews on YouTube, or if you're reading the forums and reading about people's experiences, generally speaking, go with the majority. What I mean by that is if 9 out of 10 people say something stinks, it probably stinks. If 9 out of 10 people say, you know, that it's uncomfortable, it's probably uncomfortable. All right, the majority is usually correct. This goes for all people online, including myself, okay? In this particular case, if you just watched this video on this knife, I said it got blade play, I used it, and you know, it stinks. You might not have gotten that knife, when in fact, you could have gotten lucky and got one of the other ones that doesn't stink. So it's just a reminder to get as much information as possible. Being a good consumer and spending your money wisely means getting all the information before making a purchase. So whether it's me or someone else, don't just take a couple people's word for it. Find out as much information as possible. Because again, that one guy that stands out says, oh, this stinks, or that one guy says this is awesome and everyone else says it stinks, he's probably wrong. Probably just had a bad experience. Maybe he got a lemon. Who knows what the case may be. So that's pretty much all I wanted to say in the video. I mean, just because you're spending a lot on a knife doesn't automatically mean it's going to be great. It's just the probability of it being great and awesome is much better. The more you spend on anything, not just knives, but just everything in life, all the products that we buy. Do you ever hear the expression, buy once, cry once? What that means is you go out and you spend extra on the good version of something, you know, and you cry over it once, spending all that money, then just keep buying the cheaper version over and over. All right, it's simple math. If you buy something for $5 that breaks 20 times, you might as well got the $100 version of it. It would have been the same thing, only you wouldn't have had to go through all the aggravation of it breaking all those times. So thanks for watching, guys. Post your comments and feelings down below, but I do think that there is a market and a need for all types of knives. I think it's wonderful that there are $2 knives as well as $2,000 knives, and they all do serve a purpose. Some people, just because they can't afford expensive knives, they buy cheaper ones and they enjoy them just as much, but there are plenty of people out there that just choose to use cheaper knives because they're just afraid, you know, to break or dull their expensive cutlery. So I will leave you with this down below. Let me know how expensive your EDC is that you have in your pocket right now, and also let me know the most expensive knife in your collection. You guys might be surprised. There'll be people that say they have a $20 knife in their pocket and that's the most expensive knife they have, and you're going to see other people say they have a $1,000 knife that's the most expensive they have, but they carry a $60 one. You'll see all kinds of variations, but it just goes to show that there's so many different people into knives for so many different reasons, and they have so many different needs. But the biggest point in this video is if you're buying cheap stuff, it is inconsistent. Don't be surprised, okay? You're rolling the dice. Sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you don't. So that's all. Hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you tomorrow with another video.